You are listening to The Growth Signal. My name is Alyssa Nolte,
And I'm Vance Morris.
and we're going to get right into it. Vance, what is your hot take?
It's all about customer retention. People just ignore it like nobody's business. Everybody talks about new customers, new leads, more customers. But nobody talks about where the real profit lies, which is in customer retention.
I cannot wait to talk about this because I feel like we've all done ourselves a disservice. And I'm sure you've heard this phrase before too. It is easier to keep a customer than get a new one, right? And we have this conception that it's so much harder, so much more expensive, so much more difficult to get new customers. And it almost sets us up for this mindset of retention is table stakes because it's easier to keep them than it is to get them. But I don't believe that. And it sounds like you don't either.
No, I don't. And it is also a heck of a lot cheaper to keep a customer than it is to get one. Real quick, one of my businesses here in Maryland, I got the numbers yesterday for November. Cost me $136 to get a new customer in the front door. That's ads, person answering the phone, everything. Only cost me $22 to keep a customer every year. So the minute we serve an existing customer, I'm already over $100 more profitable by doing so. And I think there are a lot of people out there that, customer retention is not sexy. I get it. But it is highly necessary because it's not the customer's job to remember you. It's your job to remind the customer that you exist.
So when we're talking about customer retention, take us down the path because I know exactly what everyone listening is thinking. Okay, cool. You've convinced me, right? More profit is always better. How do we actually start to go down the path where we focus on retaining our customers instead of just growing our acquisition?
Sure. Well, first and foremost, you got to deliver a great service or product. I mean, it's got to be on point, and an experience in and of itself. Um, that really sets the stage for customer retention. Because if your service, pardon the expression, sucks, well, then you've really got no prayer of keeping customers around you. Also, during this experience of either using your service or consuming your product, we want to try to create emotional connections with the customers. I'm not saying send them love notes and all that kind of stuff, but when you create an emotional connection with a customer, they really aren't going anywhere. I mean, they pretty much have to die or move out of your service area for them to use, for them to leave. Real quickly, I mean, I shamelessly use my children in my marketing. And when my daughter was young, we took pictures of her in her tutu when she did recitals for ballet, and I would put them in my newsletter every year. After about 5 or 6 years of doing this, I think she was like 10 or 11. Lady runs up to us in the grocery store and says, "Oh my God, Emma, how was your recital?" And we're like, crap, we got to go hide in the frozen food section. But then I had to think, she is one of my customers. My kids have thousands of aunts and uncles that they'll never meet. Um, but we created an emotional connection with that person and tons of others. So she's never leaving my company, like I said, until she dies or she moves. Um, and so you've got to set the stage for retention. And then if you want, we can certainly talk retention strategies.
Yeah, first before we get into that, tell us more about your business. What is it that you do? What is it that you sell? And do you think that the emotional human appeal that you're talking about applies to all businesses, or is it very specific to business to consumer, for example?
No, it applies to all. I'll get that out of the way first. Um, but so here in Maryland, I own three home service businesses. I've had them for a little over 18 years now. Um, I have a mold remediation company, Oriental rug washing facility, and a traditional carpet cleaning company. And I've taken all of my knowledge from working at Disney and systems and processes, and I've put it into those businesses, really put them on autopilot. So I hired a GM about 7 years ago. He does everything. He manages the systems. I spend about 90 minutes a week on those businesses. Essentially, it's just cashing checks and kissing babies, which gives me the time to do what I really love, which is consulting and coaching other businesses on how to create experiences that are going to retain customers for a lifetime. And I hold on to those home service businesses because it really gives me street cred. There's not a lot of consultants out there that actually own a business or have worked in a business. Um, and so I'm one of the few that, yeah, I'm actually doing it now. And what I talk about is kind of rubber hits the road strategies and tactics.
I wanna dive into your comment about, like, the systems and the process, because one of the things we hear on this show a lot is about how you can't do all the sexy fun things like making money if you don't have good systems and good process in place. So, you were able to essentially hand off the business. I'm gonna make it sound like it was easier than it was, but hand off the business to a GM. How much of that had to do with your ability to create process and systems that just worked?
99.9%. I mean, truly. I mean, we have marketing systems, operations systems, all of our, cleaning or mold remediation. We have operational systems behind that. And really, when you have systems and they're working and you can have somebody manage them or run on autopilot, they give you freedom. So either freedom as a business owner and you can go out and I mean start a second career like I'm doing that's parallel to what I've got. Or if you want to sit on the beach and drink beer and eat bonbons, well, you could do that too. But really, systems are liberating. They are, I mean, that is the secret sauce to having freedom from your business.
How do you actually go about creating those systems though? Because I talk to a lot of business owners who it's all up in their head. It's all
Yep.
institutional knowledge or well, that's just the way that we do it. So how do you actually sit down and do the unsexy work of creating those systems?
Well, I'll tell you, when I was starting it, 15, 16 years ago, there was no AI around to help you out. So literally, I would just put the voice app on my phone. And as I'm driving around, I'm recording everything that I'm doing. You upload it and you have it transcribed. And then before, well, we had to manually make it look like a OJT or an SOP. Now you just tell Chatty G, hey, take all this information and make a system out of it or operations plan. Um, but it really is as simple as just recording yourself or your employees recording themselves as they do their job and have it transcribed, tweak it, look at it, see what you got to do with it. And then you have your system. And if you're not sold on the whole freedom thing, well, if you're getting ready to sell your business or you want to sell it ahead, down the road, having systems in place increases the value of your company anywhere between 1.5 and 2.5 multiple. So that's a lot of money when essentially you're doubling the value of your company just by having documented systems.
Well, if that's not the push, the kick in the butt that we all need, right? Because that's what we're all here to do is grow our business, make it more valuable,
Yeah.
make it more profitable. But as a person who considers myself more in that creative visionary side of the column, like process is pulling teeth for me sometimes. But sometimes we gotta incentivize the right
Yeah.
way and get people
Oh, I'm
down the
right there.
road.
I'm the same way. I mean, I love building something and then letting somebody else run it.
Yeah.
Um, but I also knew back then that if I was going to be liberated from cleaning carpet for the rest of my life, I needed to do this. So that was my motivation.
Let's loop back to something we were talking about just a few minutes ago and talk about specifically retention strategy. So we've kind of talked about the foundational, the underlying process, which I'm sure you agree with me, but my hypothesis is good process equals good experience, which equals retained customers. But take us back through it. What is your experience in retention strategy, and what is one thing that someone who wants to start doing a better job at retention should start paying attention to right now?
It certainly is. First and foremost, is hopefully you've got a CRM system, something. I'm not here to sell any one of them, but you got to have one. Otherwise, your brain's going to explode, which is a customer relations management system. And that will truly take all the pressure off of you. Um, first and foremost is handwritten thank you notes. Yeah, I'll get granular here, real tactical. Every single one of my clients gets a handwritten thank you note for doing business with us. And it's like, what would grandma do? Right. And people are just absolutely amazed. Oh my God, I got a handwritten thing. Nobody does that anymore. Um, that starts that emotional connection. That starts that retention process. Then I believe in multimedia um, outreach or multimedia communication. So you want to get offline whenever possible as well, because I mean, if you look at your email inbox, I mean, if it's like mine, it's a disaster. And your message is going to get lost in there, or it's going to get filtered out, or it's going to spam. So I'm a huge proponent of using the US Postal Service. And we send a monthly newsletter, real one, paper in the mail with ink on it. Um, and we send that out every month. And the design of it is to continue the relationship, continue the emotional connection. There's really no pitch in there or call to action other than, probably refer us to a friend or if you got a friend that needs help. Um, and then we send a monthly postcard. Postcard has the monthly offer in it or the monthly promotion. So now we've tagged them twice in the mail, and then we do a weekly email. And the emails are a combination of the newsletter articles and the promotion of the month. And you send those out weekly. So you're hitting your clients 8 times or 6 times. I can do math, 6 times a month in different media. And hopefully you've added in, you know, are you doing outbound phone calls just to check in? Do you have record of their birthday or their dog's birthday or, whatever? Can you make a phone call and say, "Hey, I know Fido just turned 1 today." Chewy.com is great at this. I don't know if you have pets or if you've ever studied Chewy, they are absolutely amazing. They even sent me a condolence card when my dog died because I just stopped ordering food. And they send you the question, "Why'd you stop ordering the food?" I said, "Well, dog died." I mean, within a week, I had a little card from Chewy, saying that they were sorry. So, um, looking out for those opportunities to interact with your customers or clients after the service is really important.
I wanna come back to your I think it was, your little joke in the beginning of, like, what would grandma do? And I think that that is I wrote that down and, like, circled it 100 times because it's so true. I get a card from my grandmother-in-law every year for my birthday and, like, from my grandma, and I get voice notes, and I get human things
Yeah,
just every once in a while. And so how do we balance like, the results-oriented side of our business, right? We're experimenting and we're measuring and we're trying to figure out what
yep,
mix of things work with just being human beings and saying, "Hey, what would my grandma do? What would I like to receive? What would seem special to me?" Even if it doesn't deliver tangible results we can draw a straight line to.
right. I mean, this is truly an investment in your customers. That you're right is probably not going to have a direct measurable ROI just because you send a thank you note. I get it. However, it does again seed the playing field of wow, this guy really or gal you knows their business. They appreciate what that I made a purchase from their company, um, and it's invaluable. I mean, it's like answering the telephone. I'm surprised so many people don't answer it live anymore. They got the bots doing it. And I said, I am never doing that right now. That is my competitive advantage here in Maryland, is we answer the phone live. Um, and you can make the calls. I mean, if you have a customer service rep or somebody who can make outbound calls, make 20 a day, just to check in with people. Hey, Mrs. Smith, it's been 6 months since we've seen you. How you doing? No ulterior motive. And usually one or two out of every 100 calls will result in, an appointment. I really think that if you had to give me only one marketing item that I would be able to use and you took everything else away from me, I would kick and scream to keep my print newsletter. it is the glue that holds everything together. And it's also the least measurable. But I know people read it because we have an article in there called Stupid Criminal Stories. Where the idiots, they do something stupid at the 7-Eleven and they easily get caught. I did it for about 4 years. I got bored with it, so I stopped at one issue. I don't know, I put a recipe or something in there. Um, and we got angry phone calls. Where's the stupid criminal stories? And I'm like, oh, you mean people actually read this newsletter? All right. Well, one, I put the criminal stories back in, but two, I redoubled my efforts and made sure that the newsletter goes out all the time. Um, and people, they get a kick out of it. I mean, we not every month, but there's people that call in and say, "Oh my God, that was so funny," or "Oh my God, where'd you get that recipe?" And again, it's just that human touch.
Yeah. What do you think is the biggest blind spot? You mentioned you do coaching and consulting. So, when you're working with clients, what is the biggest blind spot they have when it comes to really understanding their customer experience and their retention strategy?
Well, one, they don't know their customer. They don't take the time to really learn who the customer is. And by that, I really mean, do they own a dog? So like, if you have um, people that go to people's homes to deliver the service, like we have a checklist. Is this a dog home, a cat home? Do they have fish? And we just go down this whole checklist of things to build an avatar or a persona, so that we know how to market to them. I think a lot of people, they never do that. Um, Certainly, I think that most business owners are so stuck in the day to day that they don't even bother to think about this. They're like, "Oh, well, phone rang, I made some money." But are you making the right amount of money? So, like for my businesses, we target affluent homeowners, right? That's what we do, not renters, homeowners.
Right.
So, if you're in a home service business, you know, okay, maybe you just want as many jobs as you can possibly get at a lower price. Fine. I don't want to work that way. I want to work for affluent people. We do less jobs, but higher quality and much more profitable. So I think really just kind of getting out of your own way, taking 15 minutes one week and saying, geez, how do I make this better?
Considering all of the people that you know or aspire to know, who else is out there? Who else should we be paying attention to?
Well, certainly in the world of marketing, Dan Kennedy, 100%. He is the father of direct response marketing, and certainly someone every small business should be following and reading his books. Um, and really, I mean, I go back, even to uh, old Greek works, reading the Stoic, or as a man thinketh. A lot of the um, mindset books that have been out there, and maybe they're dead, and they've or been dead for thousands of years, but they still have lessons to deliver.
And if someone is hearing this, they need some help with their business, they need some help with their retention, they wanna learn more, they just wanna follow along. Where can they find you online?
Sure. Well, certainly, you can find me on LinkedIn, Vance Morris. There's only a couple of us, and I'm the only customer experience guy. But certainly, if people want some help and immediate help, I've got a free download called 52 Ways to Wow Your Customer Without Breaking the Bank. And it is 52 low or no cost ways that you can really deliver an experience to your customer. And so that's one wow for every week of the year. Keep you busy for a long time. And you can find that at wow52ways.com.
And can you spell that out for us just so for anyone
Yeah,
who's listening can make sure they get a copy?
sure. WOW, the numbers 52, um, ways, WAYS. So wow52ways.com.
Awesome. We'll put that in the show notes so everyone can go directly to it. But Vance, thank you so much for taking the time to come on the show. Thank you for sharing your experience. And I'm gonna be thinking about what would grandma do for a very long time.
Right. Thanks so much.